Hi everyone, welcome to the Electric MotoGP show. My name is Nee and I'm your usual host, and today I just thought I could do this video outside, enjoy the weather. Beautiful outside, 20 degrees, sunny, last embers of the summer sun for us in Perth. And I've realized I haven't done a proper roundup of news and details over the last 6 weeks. So I'm going to try and catch up with as much as I can today, and forgive me if I've got my phone as a prompter, but I just thought there was so much in there I didn't want to get through the whole video without giving you all the things that I needed to. So let's start from the UK market. So we'll start there and then we'll work our way around everywhere else. So the UK market, 2024 was a good big year for the UK market, increase in market share for the EV sector. This is basically through to government mandates. The EV cars have now gone up from 15% to 21% of the total market share, which then means that there's a lot going on in that space to try and get things going. But the mandate for 2025 is 28%, which is going to be a big sell. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But hopefully, the advent of new players in the market, Xpeng is beginning to sell in the UK this year as well. BYD is increasing the models that are going to be on sale. You've got Neo likely to be coming into the UK as well, and you've got some other cheaper brands coming into the UK market, which means the UK is going to have a good influx of cars, lots of competitions, and everyone knows that when there's competition, it's the consumers that benefit from it. So expect for a kind of a little bit of a price war coming your way in the UK, which is what the rest of the world has been experiencing, which means that the prices for your cars are likely to go down. Expect the MG is going to be very, very competitive in this market space. Expect that this is going to be a really interesting year for you guys. January in China is usually not a very, very significant month for EV sales. This is predominantly because of the Chinese New Year. There's lots of holidays, people take time off. Sales were pretty on trend, so to speak. However, some specific people did do really well. Xpeng did really well. Their car sales are really up numbers. They maintained the same number of sales that they did last year, which means that they're actually growing in the context of the number of cars they're selling. The most popular car at the moment is still the Mono M3, which is, like I said in one of the previous videos, especially in the video for the top 10 cars for 2024. That particular car represents one of the best values you can get for money. And once it comes across to the other markets that they're looking to expand into, UK is one of those markets, Australia is one of those markets, then we should find that a lot of people are likely to be buying the Xpeng. The easiest way for me to give you an idea of what the Xpeng is, Xpeng Mono 3 is think about a Model 3, then half the price. That's what you're getting. And it's got almost all the same tech in terms of ADAS systems, in terms of level 2, level 3 autonomous driving. So that's one of those cars for you guys to look out for, both the UK and Australian markets as well. To you about the US, yes, we cannot go through the last 6 weeks and not talk about the US. Elections, there's been a lot of controversy about what's going to happen within the EV market space, and with levies going on, initially going on both Mexico and Canada, and then a pause for 30 days to see how things go, means that there's a lot of fluctuation in what is to expect. And what markets don't like is uncertainty, and that means that there's going to be an impact on who's going to bring what into America and if they're going to feel safe enough to do so. Interestingly as well, this morning I was reading up that the CEO of Ford is actually asking Trump to do a level playing field, so not just China and not just Mexico and Canada to be affected by tariffs. He's asking for Japan and South Korea to also be looked at as well. So it's an interesting space to see what's going to happen here. One of the other things that did happen was the fact that Trump said he's likely to be removing the $7,500 government tax credits that's available to some specific EV cars. Now, interestingly, California said they're going to put that back in, but they're going to exclude Tesla from it, which is not making Elon Musk very happy. Watch this space. This is going to be an interesting little segment for us to keep an eye on. Now, Volkswagen are planning to launch a budget-friendly ID.1 electric vehicle. I don't know a lot of details about it. The more I find out, the more I bring that to your knowledge and to your attention, so we can see what's going on. But basically what Volkswagen is looking at is trying to compete with the China segment and trying to bring up a car that's going to be about £16,000, which is significantly cheaper than most of the offerings they've got at the moment, which tend to start about £35,000. Watch this space. Like I said earlier on in the video, competition usually drives up improved consumer satisfaction because there's a lot of options available to you, and Volkswagen is beginning to realize that for them to stay relevant in the market, they've got to be able to provide that level of value for money that most of the consumers have not been seeing for a while. The roundup of sales for 2024 was pretty interesting when you think about it. There was a 25% increase in global EV sales, but most of those sales were in China, with China accounting for 80% of all EV sales in the world at the moment, and also accounting for almost every single EV that's been produced in the world as well. So it's a little bit of an interesting space to watch. There are things that we've got to start to think about for most other markets, because while there was a reduction in EV sales in a lot of markets, the boost in the Chinese market kind of covered up the cracks. As part of the things that have happened in the last 6 weeks that have been pretty interesting, the guys at Spec took the world by storm a couple of weeks ago. So they went into China to test out new cars, and everyone knows that if you want to talk about EVs, you've got to go to China at some point, because that's the mecca of the EV cars at the moment. And they tested out the Zeekr 7X. And if you remember, I said the Zeekr 7X is one of those cars that should have been on the list for top 10 cars for 2024, except the fact that it hadn't gone on sale yet. And I fully believe that the Zeekr 7X is probably going to be the best seller for 2025. And to prove that point, the Spec guys took the Zeekr 7X to a 600 volt, 600 kilowatt fast charger in China and charged from 0 to 80% in about 10 minutes 40 seconds, but 10 to 80% in 9 minutes 45. That tells you all you need to know. For those of you guys that are wondering whether or not you want to go electric and it's too slow to charge and we can't do this, we can't do that, it's only because your governments and your entrepreneurs are not putting the right infrastructure in place. If the right infrastructure is in place, if you've got a 350 kilowatt charger like the Tesla superchargers available, the Zeekr 7X can actually do 10 to 80% in about 14 minutes. 14 minutes is not a lot of time to go in, plug your car, fill it up and go out. One of the things I'm going to keep saying, and I've said that in a couple of videos, and I'm going to continue to say this, is the government needs to put a lot of emphasis in place about this thing that the charging companies are asking you to sign up and give your details over to them. Put a POS machine on all the chargers. Stop all this nonsense. There are no apps for filling up your car if you want to buy petrol. So why are you asking all of us to sign up and put our details on your apps for us to charge our car via the electric chargers? So please get that looked at and make sure the POS available on all the different charging infrastructure. So the Zeekr 7X, back to the Zeekr 7X. It's a state-of-the-art 800 volt architecture mid-size SUV. There's supposed to be everything that people will want in a car. And this car has proven the point that if you've got the right technology, right infrastructure, you can actually get the best out of any electric car that you want. That said, I'm a bit cross with Geely. Right, so Geely finally going to launch the EX5 in Australia after months and months of waiting. But the waiting wasn't because they didn't want to launch, it was because they were actually trying to improve the suspension. If you remember from the video I did for EV for Seniors early on in the year, I mentioned to you that Geely actually took the time to invite journalists from Australia and car enthusiasts over to China to go test the cars out. And they did take them onto a racetrack, get them to test out the Geely EX5, and then sat down with them at the end of the testing to find out what the things they needed to improve were. The key consensus from all the people that went was that they needed to fix the suspension. So for the last few months, in conjunction with engineers in Australia and in conjunction with some motorheads, all they've been trying to do is to get the suspension right, which they seem to have gotten. And in terms of the specs and what's available, they seem to have also got themselves in a good spot. However, unfortunately, I do think that Geely might have fumbled the bag with this one. And the reason why I say so is the car itself was supposed to be a comparison or competitor for the BYD Atto 3, which is priced at $38,000 for the lower spec and $42,000 for the upper spec. And for some reason, the indicative pricing for the Geely X5 has come in as $49,000 for the lower spec and $55,000 for the upper spec, which definitely means that Geely might have got the price points of this wrong. Automatically, what they're now putting themselves into is in comparison with the Tesla Model Y, which, even though they're trying to undercuts the Tesla Model Y in terms of specs, in terms of what you get, in terms of size and everything else, this car doesn't sit very comfortably in that price range. So I'm a bit concerned that Geely might have fumbled the bag with this one. Hopefully they will be able to sort this out. Now, to be fair to them, they haven't finalized the pricing yet. According to what they've said, they've just said that this is the indicative pricing. So while everyone's being able to pre-order the cars right now, you don't know how much you're going to actually pay for the car just yet. Geely, if you're going to be listening, and I know you guys tend to listen to most of this feedback that you get, you might have got the pricing wrong of this. You might want to just reevaluate if this pricing is right. In terms of spec, the car itself is not bad. It's got a 160 kilowatt motor on the rear. It's very, very nippy around corners. It does handle very well. The suspension has been tuned for Australia. It comes in with a lot of tech as standard. So the only problem here is likely to be price. I hope they're able to sort this out before launching and therefore able to make sure that they get their sales targets on correctly. Hopefully you guys will continue to stick with the channel and I'll be able to update you as we go along going forward. Right, so BYD. BYD is looking to launch the Sea Lion 7 in the next week or so. The only problem I've got with what BYD is doing in Australia versus what they're doing in Europe is the fact that BYD has decided that they're going to launch only the 400 volt architecture cars in Australia. I'm not sure why that is. So Australia's only going to get the 82 kilowatt hour LFP battery, and they're not going to get the 91.3 kilowatt LFP battery, which has got the 800 volt architecture. Now, because of this and because of a few things that a few people I've had the opportunity to interact with in the last few days, I'm going to be doing a short video on about future-proofing your cars, knowing what to buy, what are the things to look for in the cars that you're buying. So when I do that video, you'll understand why I'm a bit cross with BYD for not bringing in the 800 volt architecture. BYD Atto 2 launching in the UK in, I think it's May, June. So that's one of the cars that you need to look at. It's coming in, I think it's going to be priced about £30,000. So you guys need to watch this space. That's a car that you've got to be thinking about. That's Tesla sales have been going down because a lot of consumers have been unhappy with Elon Musk. The consequence of this is that we don't know whether this is going to totally affect their market share going forward, given the level of competition that's coming in from China. However, we're going to be watching this space to see what happens, and then we'll see what's going to go on. It's a good, quick roundup of everything that's happened in the last 6 weeks, and I will try to make sure that I'm not waiting 6 weeks to give you a good roundup of all events. If there's anything you think I might have missed or anything you want more information about, please put it in the comment section below. So this is a quick update, and I know I've just snuck this into the last video, but you can have a complete roundup of the last 6 weeks of 2025 without putting the breaking news that has come in. So I'm just going to quickly give you a quick update on BYD, and then we'll move into Deepal and a few other things. So BYD, in the interval while we were editing for the video, I've released the pricing and the ordering numbers for the Sea Lion 7. So the base model is coming in at $54,990. This has an added advantage for consumers in Australia because it's below the $55,000 mark, which the government is put as the upper limit for people who want to buy electric cars and work in the key government sectors, especially health workers and nurses. This is one of the things that you guys can benefit out of this. The base model comes with a 230 kilowatt electric motor on the rear, which is very, very good, and I've been able to test drive that specific model. Watch out this space for the video. The performance model is still the 400 volt architecture, but it's got a dual motor. It's got 230 on the back and 160 on the front. It's priced at $63,990 $1,000 AUD, which is underpriced in the Tesla Model Y Juniper. I still think it's slightly overpriced, but however, it's still good value for money, and it represents a lot of things. The other bit that we also have to put into account is the fact that BYD have launched God's Eye, which if you watch the previous videos I did in December, I did mention that BYD spent 15 billion, invested 15 billion into research into AI and into FSD, and they've now said that all 29 of their consumer cars are going to get the FSD in different levels, updated OTA to all the cars. And watch this space, they expect every single car to get that within the next 2 years. Deepal S07 has finally launched in WA after months of waiting. Test drives are now available for people to get it to do. I should be able to get into one of the cars very soon, and once that test drive's been done, I'll be able to get that to you. So this is just a quick update on the video that we were doing, which is for a quick roundup of news for the first 6 weeks of 2025. Thank you everyone that's subscribed, that pressed the notification bell. Please continue to do so. Please comment whatever your thoughts are on everything we've said so far. And if there's anything that you'd like to see on the channel, please put it down in the comments and we'll do our best to make that available. So continue to like, continue to subscribe, continue to share, and I'll see you on the next one.